And welcome back to the Get Lit podcast, a podcast brought to you by Southern Lighting Solutions. My name is McHugh David, co-founder of Southern Lighting Solutions. I am here with my business partner, Mr. Tarek Eliminating.
Is it on?
It is on. We are once again on the right path this time. I guess the joke is just going to be ongoing.
It's going to go on until the end of time.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so glad you could join us for these jokes. Today, we're going to be talking about industrial lighting. We talked about commercial lighting last. We brought that to you guys a week late. I do apologize for that. But
I forgot to turn the mics on.
Yeah, that's where the joke comes from. Well, I forgot to turn the lights on. So we
the
missed
mics, not lights.
I said the mics.
Yeah, you said lights.
I said mics. Or did I say lights?
You said lights.
I guess we'll have a visual and verbal confirmation of that. So we will find out. At any rate, forgot to turn the mics on. The lights were definitely on. Could tell from the video. At any rate, we're talking about industrial lights today. We have a lot of options here, and we've had a lot of experience with industrial, and that's everywhere from just warehouse space, working space, all the way up to, we design or have other people who have designed both, actually, watertight, explosion-proof type fixtures that can, have you ever seen those videos of those oil rigs going up and down on the big waves in the middle of the ocean? We can design lights that'll withstand that will stay on, that'll keep those guys safe. So that being said, we also do the design portion. That's part of what we do. But want to get into some of your experience with industrial lighting. First, let's keep it simple. Let's talk about a lot of industrial spaces where some of these companies have been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They've got high bays in the back that are failing, have failed, are fading at the very least. And we have high bays here that suddenly are going to allow those guys, especially those craftsmen, to see what they're doing a little bit better. So tell us a little bit about some of the experiences you've had, especially, bringing light to places where there once had been none.
Where once there had been none. Well, I mean, first off, when we talk about industrial lights, we're really lumping 99% of what we're doing into two categories, which is high bays and low bays, and industrial battens.
Okay.
Whether they are waterproof or non-waterproof, or isolated or non-isolated.
Okay.
Fixtures just depends where they're being used, because industrial, as far as we're concerned, could be a warehouse, could be an oil rig, could be a smelting operation, or it could be just a food processing facility or farm. All of those would use industrial lights. Now, as always, we like to talk about technology, and a good solution or a good story over here was a cold store that we did.
Okay.
And they were using your typical fluorescent luminaires inside them, and they wanted a complete overhaul of the existing lights.
Right.
And we gave them two solutions that was available. And I'm sorry, I need coffee, but yeah, the end user was so intrigued by the different proposals that we gave that inside his actual cold store, one of the cold store bays had one kind of light, and the other cold store bay had the other kind of light.
Sure.
And I mean, this is a company that has a total of 9 large cold stores around the country that they use.
These are usually what, server farms?
No. This was for meat.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, you had temperatures there of minus 30 Celsius. Okay. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm terrible at the imperial system.
I don't know either. I think it's 2.2, so somewhere around negative 90. I suppose.
No, I think that's a bit overkill, but what?
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, terrible at math. Anyways, you're supposed to know the imperial system.
Well, I know Fahrenheit. You know Celsius. I don't know how to convert. I don't know the conversion.
We got way off topic here. Anyways, yes.
Temperatures were low.
Temperatures were very low.
But throw that in that the lights would function in that environment.
Sure, they were designed to work in those tolerances. So these, from a Celsius standpoint, were able to withstand temperatures of minus 40 Celsius.
Right.
Now, one of them looked like your typical fluorescent fixtures. However, you've got to take into account when the person coming in with the forklift to get the pallets and packs, he needs to be able to see light from the top to bottom, streamlined.
Right.
And with a normal typical replacement, you had light all over the place.
Right.
So what we installed was a high bay, which had adjustable lights, so they could be tilted on the same axis.
Okay. Okay.
So you got almost like a crossover pattern happening. They still had the same 160-degree beam angles, but instead of just facing right down, we were able to tilt them, each one about 45 degrees.
Okay.
So when the operator came in and they just looked up, they could always see the numbers. From top to bottom, you had a streamlined look throughout the entire facility.
Okay.
And, the best way to look them, they were more or less like your typical battens, but two on adjustable axes, if you will. The second option, which is the one that really blew his mind, is we used normal high bays with optics.
Okay.
So your normal high bay, when you get it right now, when you buy it, whether it's on Amazon or Home Depot or Lowe's, wherever you go, and you just get a typical high bay, it just throws light out everywhere. There's no reflectors, no nothing.
Right.
With this one, we used optics to guide the light the way we wanted to go. So this one had what's called a 30 by 120 optic, which means from the actual light itself, the light came 30 degrees down, so it completely covered the area that we needed between the two sets of racking on a latitude basis, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So up, down.
Okay.
But the 120 degrees was the spread between each light. So it went for the length of the hallway. So it came down and it went out.
Okay.
The light spread. And I guess, maybe through the art of Adobe, we can show it right here.
Right.
We can put an image right here for you to see.
It'll pop up right
It will
there.
pop up, and it'll become clear with that optic for you guys to see. Now, what this did is instead of those aisles needing 20 lights, which is what they were to begin with, we dropped that down to 8.
Okay.
So there was immediately huge savings there, and the light was still the same. The same output, because the outputs you were just throwing the light different angles.
Right.
To get the effect that so you don't have any light pollution, which is something we discussed, before. So at the end of the day, what ended up happening is in smaller areas where they didn't need any crazy optics, they opted with going with the adjustable angled linear high bays.
Right.
And in the areas with the much higher ceilings, the 30-foot ceilings and 40-foot height ceilings, we used the one with the optics.
Okay.
Because we did not need as much power to begin with, because again, we're focusing. It's like a flashlight. If you narrow it, you can really see it farther. The distance goes farther.
Right.
So, that's.
And that's interesting because,
and it sounds complicated, but we'll.
Yeah, we'll give y'all something to see.
Sure.
Because the idea is, and for those of you who are just listening, the idea is to try to make sure that the light, you're not wasting light by overarching everything.
Sure.
But that you're making sure that the pathway that any kind of person is following is completely lit.
It's streamlined because, they've got standards. Again, we always go back to this. There are standards that we follow. A good example just to show how important it is this was maybe 6 years ago. We retrofit a Coca-Cola factory.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me tell you, when the people from Coca-Cola came over, they came with light meters, and the entire time they were walking through the plant, the light meter was on.
Right.
And they were recording everything. and every spot where you were off by even 2-3% was annotated. You needed more light there.
Right.
And it was because you got to think in these factories, people are all over the place. You've got bottles, you've got, the canning operations, you've got people in forklifts. I mean, they need everything at a certain level so that they can monitor everything. They can see the readings. They can see any flaws, any problems.
Right.
And
that's part of managing a facility.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That having that documented and having it fixed means, okay, first thing we can cross off, we had a workplace accident. Was the lighting poor in that area? Well, eye test says, no, it's not. Let's check. Yeah, they have the appropriate lumen, so we're moving on now.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It all factors in there. It all factors into that. And again, the fixtures that we use, long-term fixtures, they still haven't replaced them. I mean, their warranty is long gone past, and they're still running beautifully.
Right. Well, and that a lot of that has to do with, and go check out our workbench on drivers.
Correct.
We look at these fixtures from a standpoint of, having, either a driver on board or a separate driver being able to replace those to keep those fixtures going if you have to. A lot of them might have that 10-year warranty, but the lifetime of the fixture is such that there are some of the fixtures we have that run on a certain amount of hours in certain places, like in an office space that may be on for 6 hours a day. It may outlive us.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had one of our clients said, listen, they've changed LED panels. I mean, guys, if you're buying a $15 panel, 2-foot by 2-foot panel off of Amazon and expecting it's going to last 5, it may, who am I to say? I can't, not the rib, but this client got so fed up of doing this that, and they came to us, they said, can you just fix this solution? And we will pay for it. We said, well, you've got a panel, which is X amount. But if you really want to go there, we're going to do, and if you go back to the series, you'll see, we changed to the Italian.
Right.
The Italian driver, Italian board. And they forget them on just to see if they'll work.
Right.
And we designed them that way.
Right.
So, I mean, this fixture was using components which guaranteed him, at minimum, 150,000 hour operation and 10 years by the component manufacturer.
Right.
So, night and day.
Right. So we're going to be, getting back to, pardon me, some of you, probably viewers and listeners probably just heard me hit my microphone. We're going to be doing some replacements in the back that'll be industrial in type. We're going to have battens and we're going to have high bays. The, interesting thing about those is that, you can get certain IP ratings. I'm going to ask you to explain what IP is.
IP ratings and IK ratings.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's dive into it.
So basically, an IP rating is what's called your ingress protection rating.
Okay.
And it's basically the higher the rating, the less amount of dust, water, whatever can get into the fixture itself.
Right.
And you have your typical fixture is an IP20 rating, which means it's protected against dust.
Okay.
Your standard bathroom fixture is going to be IP44, and it goes by zone. So you have zone 1, 2, 3. Let's say in a bathroom or even an industrial setting, whereby if there's water or steam, it's got to be able to withstand a certain amount of humidity or
sure,
what have you. You get into your IP65 is watertight.
Okay.
You could put it outside in the rain, no issues. It's not submersible though. IP67, you can put it in the ground. It can take water up to a certain amount for a non-extended period of time. And IP68 is fully watertight in a pool, in a fountain. It's got to have water around it to keep the components cool.
Right. Okay.
That's a submersible type.
Okay.
Type fixture, and then you get into what's called the IP69 rated fixtures, and those are vandal, hazardous rated, explosion proof lighting. Now, when we say explosion proof, that does not mean You can put a hand grenade next to it and it's not gonna, damage it. It will. What it means is basically if there's a power surge or a flaw on the inside which may cause an explosive type reaction, that light is going to be maintained. It's going to be safe.
Right.
It's designed for, it's designed for those types of applications.
Sure.
So especially even in oil rigs, if there's a large fire around or even an explosion that happens on the outside and something happens on internal components, the light is still going to keep its integrity. It's not going to, shatter into a million pieces. It's not going to cause any issues on the inside components itself.
Right.
I mean, again, there's a lot of very different definitions that go into it because you have, from there you go into ATEX and IECX ratings, which are various explosion-proof level ratings, which you need to have for certain facilities.
Right.
And you have levels 1, 2, 3. So that's a podcast all in all. And that requires exceptionally specialized fixtures, specialized testing, specialized ratings.
Right.
The list goes on and on. Next, you have your impact rating, which is, IK1 to IK10. IK1 means, your son can break it just by flicking the thing.
Sure.
IK10 would be your normal industrial batten that you have would be your normal drive over light. But since we're going to stay on industrial applications, the industrial batten, so if a forklift goes into it, it might crack it. It's not going to break it and shatter it into 100 pieces.
Okay.
And we'll demonstrate this later on where, we'll take a hammer to one of those fixtures.
Okay.
And you'll see it will not, you're going to have to really go to town to break this.
Sure.
And that's what the impact ratings are for. They're designed for those experiences.
Right.
I guess if you want to.
Incidents.
Incidents, yes. And, you have certain ratings which are required for food areas.
Right.
We
know these ratings, or at least
we
know where to find them.
We know where to find them. We know what they are. It's. We don't want to bore you.
Yeah. With the minutia.
With the minutia. Yes.
But but one of the things we do want to connect with all that is we do the light design, right? And we can take any kind of space, and we take what the color of the walls are, what the colors of the floors are, the height of the ceilings, everything.
Yeah, we like to discuss this,
Right. Well, I bring it up every time because I want to remind people,
and reiterate, yes.
Yeah, when we come to these things, we're not just trying to throw a fixture at you.
We're giving a solution.
Right. We are providing a solution, and we talk about it from a standpoint of, and this is where I'm going to drag this in, and I think you're going to like this. When we're talking about solutions, we want to build a solution for you. We have access to so many different types of fixtures, and we even have access to different types of lenses, chips, and all sorts of things within one specific fixture.
Sure.
Like you said, we have a high bay, but we might have a special type of light on the inside or a special type of lens. We want to build that out for you. It's not as expensive as you'd think.
No.
And we are building a custom solution for you that we can do here, or we can bring in things from other parts of the country, other countries. We want to do this for you. We aren't just going to peddle something that we've got sitting in our warehouse.
Sure. Yeah. No. Like I said, as a solutions company, obviously we would like to, promote and sell what we have, but as a solutions provider, as designers, if there's a better solution out there from certain companies, we're going to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And there are, as far as, I like to go back to, because it's a good one, the explosion proof fixtures, count on one hand the number of real companies that, I would stand by, we would stand by blindly and not even, it's like getting a car. If you buy a Rolls Royce, you know what you're getting. There's
right.
Obviously they are very expensive fixtures in these cases, but you know what you're getting.
Right.
And again, nobody here is really in the business of buying these kinds of fixtures, but it's a good example.
Sure. And we're or maybe some people just need a few of them, but we know how to find those solutions. So we've talked about battens, we've talked about high bays and low bays, and we have these things for, that are kind of in between, I guess you could say, commercial and industrial.
Sure.
We've got them for street lamps. We've got them for garages. We've got them for car parks and parking lots. We got them for parks.
We work with a company that provides specialized bulletproof lenses.
Right.
And it's funny because you hear stories about people coming to you and say, listen, we've got a problem. We keep changing our lights, and for some odd reason, people just keep shooting them up.
Right.
I was like, who the hell is shooting up lights? Why? But it's something,
I guess they find it fun.
Yeah, sure.
So, but we can provide a solution that at the very least, even if they shoot at it enough, they may shoot out that lens, but the light's still going to work, at least until they replace it. If they shoot out the whole thing, there's nothing we can do.
I mean, there are various solutions. One of these simple lenses is it's encasing, which is designed, to stop a 44 round and just glance off of it.
Right.
Eventually you hope that the guys stop shooting, but we found some people have been very industrial and they take it personally. What, did it break? No. Let's go get a bigger gun.
We're gonna make it break.
We're gonna make it break.
We're gonna find a way to make it break.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And again, we even have, if somebody catches this that happens to work for government or be part of a street department or something, we even have, street light solutions.
Oh, yeah.
And all sorts of things like that. So again, we were talking industrial, a little smaller, because you can kind of cover the whole thing. Because if you have a factory and you have an office space, we talked about it last time in commercial. We also have these solutions for industrial spaces. They're kind of tried and true, but we have LED versions of the tried and true versions.
Even a car wash you would consider industrial.
Right. And we have solutions for those individual businesses and industrial spaces. So, again, sir, Mr. Tarek, thank you for joining us. We talked about industrial lighting today. We hit you with the commercial yesterday. Sorry we were a little late on that. Of course, it's because I didn't turn the mics on. And then we hit you with residential 2 weeks before that.
Yeah, I mean, we might have gotten a bit off topic today with the industrial, but
it kind of fit in, and it was a wrap up.
Sure.
Of talking about residential, commercial, and industrial. I always want to remind people we can design spaces. We want to provide you with the best fixture to meet your solution, and it's not going to break your bank. We promise. Yeah. Is it on?
It is.
I think it is on. I hope it's on. Let's cross our fingers and see. So again, my name is McHugh David, co-founder of Southern Lighting Solutions, here with my business partner and co-founder, Mr. Tarek Alimedine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
for joining us and explaining all of your experience with industrial lighting. Remember, we do residential, commercial, and industrial. Eventually, we're going to get after you guys with architectural lighting. A little more specific, but it'll be a fun conversation. You can do a lot of crazy things with it. Please remember to follow us on social media and check out our YouTube page. Please subscribe to that. We also put this podcast out, the audio version, on all podcast platforms, thanks to Anchor FM for that. Next time, we might be talking about, it's going to be a surprise. Might be talking about strip, we might be talking about fields, or we might be talking about architectural. Y'all are going to have to find out next time. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you again.